Welcome to Full Circle Angling. You join me from, unfortunately, my living room and not the rocks or the beach somewhere because, like most people, I've tested positive for COVID. So I'm isolating for the next 6, possibly 8 days. I'm a couple of days in. Fortunately, I'm not feeling too bad, but it means I can't go out fishing. So even though I can't go fishing, I can still talk about fishing. So I thought I would do a review on a popular reel, certainly popular up here in the northeast, which is the Shimano Bullseye. This is the 9120. It's certainly classed as a large fixed spool, and it's one of, I'd say probably one of Shimano's, not their absolute top end reels, but definitely one of the more expensive reels. So a lot of people are changing from traditional multiplier and mono to fixed spool with braid. This one's got a 79-pound J braid on it. So I want to do a bit of review on the reel. I've owned it now for coming up probably about 18 months. I bought it just after we went into lockdown last year, in March 20. So I've had a decent amount of use out of it, so I thought I'd run you through the pros and cons. In my personal opinion, I'm not trying to say that I'm any sort of expert on Shimano reels. I'm not, I'm just somebody that likes to go fishing with them. But if it helps you, if you're in the market for an upgrade or a new reel, or you're just looking to get into fishing, this review might be able to help you with what you're doing. Right, so let's take a proper close-up look at the reel. What I'll talk you through first are what I think are the good features about this reel. For me, I'll start with the retrieve. The retrieve on this is 3.5 to 1. Now, straight away, you might look at that and think, that sounds a bit slow. What's it going to be like compared to a higher retrieve reel? If I'm fishing over rough ground, am I going to get me gear back straight away? But what I would say to you, if you're going to use this reel with braid, and I've used higher rate retrieve reels, 4.5, 4.7, and if you're using this with a fairly powerful rod, 13-14 foot over the kelp with a higher rate retrieve and braid, when you've got a fish that might even only weigh a pound, a couple of pounds, when you're winding in with a high rate retrieve reel, try to say that one fast after you've had a couple of beers, rate retrieve reel, that rod tip, I can assure you, is going to bend over, and the small fish is going to feel like it weighs about 4 or 5 pounds. And I'm speaking from experience there. This is all personal preference. There's nothing right or wrong in fishing in my view, but for me, over rough ground, because this is a much lower retrieve reel, the lower gearing in it makes the cranking so much smoother and so much easier if you're fishing with braid. If you're fishing with mono, different story, but I'm assuming people out there, generally fixed spools these days, are going to be using a reel like this with braid on. So the lower gearing for me, I think, is a really good feature. The other feature that I really like about this reel, and to be honest, most modern Shimano reels now, is the weight of it. It's only 540 grams, which I can tell you is incredibly light when you compare it to, the first big fixed spool I owned when I changed from multiplier to fixed spool, well, briefly, I still go between the two, was the Mark 1 Penn Spin Fisher, 7,500. I think it was the LC, something like that. I know the LC stands for long cast spool. I wasn't using the long cast spool on it, but that reel weighed, I think somebody will correct me on this, but it was over 800 grams, which I can tell you for me personally, I like to keep me gear the weight of my gear to a minimum. I like everything to be as light as possible. That reel at 800-900 grams is quite a lump of metal. Of course, when you put it onto a rod, the balance and everything for a lot of people can feel absolutely perfect. For me, it was just a bit heavy. They are built like tanks. They're solid pieces of kit, but that comes at a cost, which for me is the weight. So the weight of this thing is only 540 grams, which I think is superb given how smooth and powerful it is. It's made from Shimano's, where is it? CI4. I don't think it actually says it on the reel actually, but CI4 material, which is the carbon interfusion with the 4 apparently referring to the number of electrons in the carbon atom, if you're into that sort of thing. What they're saying is it's reinforced graphite material, which is over 1.5 times stronger than Shimano's normal XT7 graphite and is over 20% lighter, which, you know, judging by the weight of that, I can certainly see. The other feature I like about it is the drag. Not only is it's very smooth, but it has, I'm not entirely sure what Shimano call it, but basically you can go from being on full lock within one revolution of that head knob to completely loose. Now, whether you're a carp angler or a sea fisherman or what, for me, I think that's really handy. And it's much, you can just do things a lot quicker. If you're playing a fish, you can just adjust that, and the amount you get, you can hear it's clicking there, the amount of difference you can get within one full revolution of that end cap is superb in my view. To give you a comparison, what I've got is another one of Shimano's reels. This is a 5,500 size Ultegra. Nice little reel, casts well, decent enough line lay on it. But to give you a comparison, that's at full lock there. That's still pretty tight. And there you go. So if you're playing a fish and you want really good sharp control, the feature of that drag is excellent. And I've got an Aero Technium, which I'll do another review on, and it's probably even better than that still. So that, in my own personal view, is another advantage that this reel has over some of its competitors. The other thing I like, which I think is a really nice touch by Shimano, this bag that it comes with. It's nice, it's good quality, it's fairly thick and padded, so if you're changing reels or you're throwing all your stuff in your box, you can whack that in there, into the bag, into your box, and you're away. So I think it's pretty good. In terms of what I'm less keen on, it's trivial really, it's also got Shimano's X-Ship, which is the quality of the line layer, which I'll come on to first, I suppose, because I've said that. For me, having used the cheaper Ultegra, the Aero Technium, which to be fair is a hell of a lot more expensive than this, it's not far off twice the price. The line lay on this isn't, it's okay, but it's not great. I would dare say it's probably better on some of the pens, and definitely some of the other models. I mean, it casts okay, but unless you've got that spool filled up, the line lay on it, if you're using thick braid, that's going to reduce very quickly, and you're going to get a lot more friction against the lip here. And because of that line lay, especially if you're using thick braid, it is, you might lose a little bit of distance compared to say a Power Aero or an Aero Technium. So I think it could be better on a realist price. I mean, to be fair, I bought this, I think, 250 quid, but that was before the world went mad with the lockdown and the COVID taxes sometimes. I think now they might even be up to, I don't know, 350 quid, possibly more. So for me, unless there's been an upgrade since, I don't know, but for me the line lay on that for a reel of that price could and probably should be better. It's trivial, the colour, not, I mean, I buy reels really for what they do, not, although, you know, if you're paying a lot of money, you want it to look nice. It looks okay, gold and blue, it's not really my thing, but never mind, it's not the worst thing in the world. Actually, one other good feature, is that handle. That's really good. You can get a good grip on that, and you can really crank. So that's good. Going back to what I'm not so keen on, the CI4 material. Yes, it's light, and Shimano say it's stronger. A couple of times I've foolishly either not checked that the bail arm was still over, or the bail arm's flicked over for whatever reason. When I've cast and hit the cast hard, this has happened twice on an Aerotechnium, so you can imagine how many tears I shed. That when the bail arm was over and I hit it hard with braid, that whole rotor just sheared off and flew about 20 yards in front of us. So I don't think that material, it's adequate as long as you treat them well, and the bail arm was over, it's fine. But if you accidentally cast with that still over, you're in for bother. If you're using strong braid and you're casting hard, I dare say on a spinfish or a pen, the braid would just snap, because the reel itself, I would guess, is probably more solid. So all in all, I think if you're looking for a rough ground reel, it's definitely something worth considering. If you're looking for an upgrade, or you're looking for a switch from multiplier to fixed spool, it's got a good solid smooth retrieve on it. It's expensive, but it's not the most expensive reel you're going to buy. The line lay itself, it's adequate. It's not the best for a reel of that price in my view, but it's a solid workhorse, comes with a decent bag. And if you're wondering about the rate of retrieve on that compared to, say, a rough ground reel like a Slosh 20 or a Slosh 30 or a Saltist 30, what I've done is a little demonstration to show you the difference between the rate of retrieve on that and a fully loaded Saltist 30, which I'll show you now, which also might be of some help here. Okay, so in terms of a retrieve comparison, and yes, I know this is the height of fishing geekiness, but I just thought I'd show you this anyway, just to illustrate something. So what we've got here, we've got a Daiwa BG Saltist in a 30 size. It's fully loaded to the brim. It's got a 6.1 to 1 retrieve ratio on it, and at the other end we've got a 5-ounce sinker next to a tape measure. So what I'm going to do, just to illustrate a point here, that handle is at, what's that, 9 o'clock. I'm going to give that one full turn when it's in gear. That's handy. I give that one full turn, and that sinker there has moved to roughly 3 feet. So the retrieve on that reel, when it's fully loaded, one revolution of that handle, 6.1 to 1, is 3 feet. But remember, if you've cast that reel out 70, 80, 90 yards, 100, however good a caster or however far you want to cast for the multi fishing, you then walk back another 20 to put the rod on your rest, etc. That reel might be at half of its capacity now. So whilst the retrieve's still 6.1 to 1, the width of retrieve on that spool is going to have reduced massively because of the amount of line you've got out. So albeit now, while that's fully loaded in here, it's 3 feet, it's going to be less than that, potentially significantly less, depending on how much line you've got out. So don't forget that when you're looking at retrieves on a multiplier. Okay, here I've got the Bullseye. Again, handle is at 9 o'clock. I'm going to give that one full turn, and we are more or less, as it happens, I don't know if you can see that, we are more or less in exactly the same place as one full turn on the handle on the Saltist 30. But the key difference here being, as some of you will know, some of you may not. If you don't, I hope this helps. Unlike the multiplier, when that line level goes down, it doesn't affect the amount of line that you're bringing back with each turn of the handle, because that spool is fixed and it's this rotor that is retrieving the line for you. So that's quite key to remember. It doesn't matter if that spool is full or only has a fifth of the line in, the amount of line that you retrieve on every turn of that handle is going to be the same. So there you have it, quick self-isolation review of the Shimano Bullseye 920. Hope that was of some help to you. One other thing I didn't point out about this reel, which not the end of the world, would be better if I'd had it. It doesn't have a little line lip just to clip your line in, so whatever I do after being fishing, I always loosen the drag on all of my reels, multiplier or fixed spool. Little line clip, I just hook it over the braid and it just keeps everything in one place. If you need to manoeuvre the handle or whatever, you can. The handle on this, when you pack it away, you just back wind it. I just push it in like that into the bag and then you're away. Give it a wash in warm water after every session. Should last you for years. I mean, that's, I don't know if you can see that, that's had quite a lot of use and it's basically brand new still. So I hope that helped. Happy New Year and tight lines.